Hey everyone, welcome back to another Citrico Central live. Today I got my boy OG from OG55 joining me today. Yeah, we just thought we'd kind of dive in. We are Destination D23 is almost upon us, and there have been some news that came out within the last week, and speculation. We did our predictions with Drew, the Disney dude, who is actually on location as we speak for the event. And there's some also other things that I want to dive into as well concerning Universal's HHN and some news on the Monsters Inc. land, which I thought was quite interesting to but first, we do have a couple people already in the chat here. We got Matthew Murr all the way from the UK. I'm due back on OG55 next Sunday. Welcome in, Matthew. To see you. And then we have, Adam. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Gravel. Okay. Are we getting the live action Moana trailer? That's interesting because we might get the Moana live action trailer because they're going to kick off Destination D23 with like a little studio segment. So right off the bat, we might get the trailer, or at least maybe not the full trailer, but maybe like a little teaser snippet.
Yeah,
big trailer for next year.
Yeah, I think that honestly, I think this Destination D is going to be much more studio heavy than park heavy. Not to say we're not going to get park stuff. We absolutely will get some park news here, but I think it's going to be a more of a studio focused sort of event this year. And I could be wrong, but that's just the vibe I'm getting based on the the panels and what have you.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we got the Giant Peter Adventure in the house. What's up, Giant Peter? Welcome in. And he says, glad OG's hair survived.
Yeah. Absolutely. Hey, if you don't know what he's talking about, on my Instagram, I think it's still on my story actually. Theme park conductor, good friend of the channel, took a video of all of us stuck on Indy, and my hair was stuck in another multi-dimension or something. It was all crazy. It was really, really funny. So it's still up. You can check it out right now. Instagram, Orange Grove 55. Pretty funny stuff. What's up, Giant Peter?
And actually, I'm going to be posting a TikTok soon because aside from that also, I got stuck on Indy again that same weekend, and we were right under the Indy audio animatronic hanging on the rope. And then the ride started back up again, and then it got stuck in the pitch dark. So I got all that on film. So I think I'm going to create a little TikTok for that. So definitely keep an eye out for that. But since this past weekend, I've been having like PTSD with Indy because I got stuck on the ride twice with all of you guys, and then by myself, and then conductor and I got stuck in the line inside the temple, and all the lights turned on and the music cut off. So that was like 3 times. Indy was just like not having it this weekend.
They weren't. And I got to say, also, everybody, we celebrated George's birthday last weekend at the parks and everything. It was a really great celebration. But I got to say, you speak of like Indiana Jones breaking down, right? Mm-hmm. And I know I'm biased. I'm a vibes guy. Everyone knows that. I'm a vibe over rides kind of guy. But man, I'm telling you, when we were at the Lamplight Lounge bar, the whole crew, right? Tones, Poppy, and Ebba, and everybody, and we were having drinks. You and I, mostly just you and I, and Tones. It was great, man. Like, I don't even need the ride. I mean, just being with you guys, shooting the shit, and just having a few drinks, I had an absolute blast. You know what I'm saying? The rides for me, when I go to Disney, become very much a secondary thing. You know, it's more about the company that I'm with and just kind of, I don't know. That's just me, personally. But I had a great time with you guys out there on the bar.
Oh, yeah, that was great. I absolutely loved it. I had my 3 drinks, my Open Ocean, which is actually my favorite drink at DCA.
Got a little tipsy.
I did. Yes, I did. That was fun. And then Giant Peter, the video of the Italian guy negotiating the Disney Vacation Club was hilarious.
I didn't see that.
See that one either.
I actually did see a really funny video. Speaking of Italian guys, Giant Peter, you might appreciate this. I saw a reel on Instagram. This kind of like old school Italian guy, and he's being interviewed, and this guy asked him, "What's your body count?" He goes, "I don't know, 3." And the interviewer goes, well, do you know what I'm even talking about when I ask you what your body count is? And the Italian guy goes, yeah, how many people I killed?
Well, it just goes to show you that, like, I guess us Italians don't really get the number factor, because obviously mine was 300, and it was like,
I'm telling you, man.
Apparently, I don't even know 300 people.
Well, you don't got to know them to sleep with them, though, right? I guess I don't know.
I guess I didn't even know of like 3 people to even like introduce myself, because it was like, but it's a run-on joke that Abby's number 301, so that like just became the run-on joke.
George wakes up and is like, "What's your name again?"
Johnny Peters says, I have officially decided not to do my usual Parks prediction this year.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting. Now, Peter, if I could ask, like, what made you come up to do that? Because that's very interesting, because I have a feeling that people stop doing that just in the sense of, because it feels like it's a setup for failure, in a sense where you get excited, you get hyped. Now, I still enjoy doing it because I love, since I create, content, you create content, obviously, that it's just like, it just kind of gets like the juices flowing, so to speak, of like what the company could potentially do, even though technically that's not what they do, but interesting. And then, by the way, Starship 824 in the house.
What's up?
And he says, did you see what Braden posted?
Starship, I have not. I actually, if you're referring to anything on X, I haven't logged into my X account in like a month. I don't like X, but was it an X post or was it something he posted on YouTube? I'm very curious, because I'll check it out. If it's a video, I'll check it out.
Yeah, because I'm curious too, because I didn't see anything. But then again, I'm not on X too much either. I usually just jump on briefly at times just to see if anything new, but I haven't been on recently. Giant Peter says, I've officially started looking at Imagineering internships for next year. Well, good for you. Nice.
That's awesome.
Let's see. Starship, was on X. He said, I've got a strong feeling it's about to be a great, big, beautiful tomorrow.
What? So he's heavily implying, I would assume, Tomorrowland news?
There's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. So Tomorrowland, possibly. But I wonder what, like, referring to, like, is it for both Tomorrowlands? Is it something specifically just for Disneyland? If it's like for the People Mover, is it something specifically for Walt Disney World? Because here's the thing. I mean, despite of how, people, perceive Braden as, and, like there's people who take sides on whatever, I'm friends with anybody. Like, I don't really care, but I mean, like, he does have credible sources.
He does.
He was right the last time with Destination D23 about Zootopia, when he said, we're going to get a Zootopia announcement, but it's not what you guys think. And sure enough, it was. So a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. That's interesting. And plus, they just started bringing back Tom Morrow from the 2.0 for Imagineer that. So I wonder if they're like trickling little small things in.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, Tom Morrow, that's definitely an interesting element to this whole thing. Braden saying that, there's got to be a Tomorrowland element here. Now I would be very surprised if it's Disneyland's Tomorrowland, because that would really kind of be a shocker for Destination D, being this is mostly a Walt Disney World, usually a Walt Disney World heavy event, unless they decide to switch it up a little bit and they do a big banger announcement for Disneyland's Tomorrowland. I don't know. I mean, anything's possible. Disney does throw curveballs sometimes. It could also be Tomorrowland related, but nothing that's that ambitious. It could be like one attraction or something like that. Starship is saying he's thinking Carousel of Progress, since they posted that weird BTS video a couple days ago. It could be that. So yeah, but based on what Braden's saying, though, it's definitely Tomorrowland related, and he's got some good sources. Absolutely. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm very, very curious, and as I said, I'm open-minded, to it. So, hopefully we'll get some possibly good news. I mean, I don't expect like huge news, but like, I don't know, give us something, especially since they upped the prices, they added more capacity, they moved it over to Coronado Springs. It's like, why would you do that if you don't have anything big to say, so to speak?
Exactly.
Now,
I would hope so.
Now, speaking of which, I'm gonna share my screen. This is compliments to Boardwalk Times for Zach. Shout out to Zach. He does great work at Boardwalk Times. But this was something that was released. Now, I don't know if this was actually released for Destination D23, but it is interesting that they made this kind of announcement right coming off, going into Destination D23. But it's saying Icon Creative Studios, who worked on Monsters at Work, will be providing the animation services for the upcoming attractions in the Monsters Inc. land at Disney's Hollywood Studios. Now I had this conversation with our group chat and also with UOG on the phone. Now, when I went back and I looked at this, now I saw the key word that it says attractions, plural. So this isn't just talking about the roller coaster, but that's also referring to I'm assuming the stage show,
right,
or the interactive show that's replacing the Muppets Theater. And I don't know, like for me, that's kind of a like not saying that the company doesn't do bad work. I mean, obviously, they do good animation, as you can see here, but the kind of animation that they give off, it's more like of a
television,
diluted down kind of Disney Junior-esque kind of animation. And I feel like this is the same company that worked on the animation for Tiana's Bayou Adventure. When you'd see Tiana and Lewis looking into like the tree, when Mama Odie shrinks you down to the size of a frog. I feel like that's the kind of animation. But here's the thing, I'm not too keen on that kind of animation in the theme park environment.
No, I agree with you, George. And Starship says this Monsters news scares me. It scares me too, Starship. Here's the thing. For a TV show on, or a streaming show on Disney Plus or something on Disney Junior, absolutely fine. But when you're talking about an attraction that will be around longer than we will, okay, these attractions last decades and generations. I want Pixar to do the animation for the attraction. This is going to be a mainstay at this park, and to outsource this animation for something so important. Right. And we were talking in the OG55 group chat via text, and we were saying how, this is kind of like a, what's the word for it? I'm losing my train of thought here. This is something that, like, you really have to hit a home run here because we're replacing the Muppets. Right. And you can't afford to kind of do these kind of half measures, so to speak. I mean, I want Pixar. I want Pixar, who created this IP, to go in there and do amazing, beautiful animation for the stage show and for the roller coaster. That's the studio that came up with this IP. That's the studio that should do the attraction. If you want to do a TV show, if you want to do something like that, this studio is fine for that, but not for an attraction. I'm sorry. And for Disney to release this right before D23 is terrible optics, really crappy PR. Not a good look. Not a good look. And I'm really disappointed, to be honest with you. And our friend I don't want to say his name, but for reasons. But our good friend did say this is a slippery slope, and I agree with him on that, because this is a very slippery slope to kind of outsource more and more of this stuff outside of Pixar, and it kind of minimizes Pixar's role within the company. It's really scary to me.
Well, and this is the weird thing, that Pete Docter, who is now head of Pixar Animation, Monsters Inc. is his baby. That was his first movie that he actually directed on his own. Like, he helmed that feature. So the fact that you have the president of Pixar Animation, who now won't even really utilize the studio that he's ahead of, that would work on the IP that he created, and he's going to a third-party source, that looks bad upon him. Yeah. That looks bad upon bad leadership of. See, I wonder if that is even. Now, let me ask you this before I jump on my tangent here, because I am a huge fan of Pete Docter. I mean, he was everywhere during the last D23. I mean, he was in Marvel panels, for crying out loud. Do you think that was a Pixar move? Do you think that was a WDI move? Do you think that was executive move?
Yeah, executive move. This screams executive move. This screams like, you know what? How can we find a way to save a buck, or there's some kind of monetary benefit for them doing it this way? I don't know. But yeah, it's executives, almost certainly. And Starship here says Disney Animation is working on the Zootopia show. So I don't understand why Pixar isn't doing this. Exactly, Starship. That's really super weird.
And again, now Jared Bush is now head of Disney Animation. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I wonder if it's based on who is president, like, of the animation. Do you think that Pete Docter said, you know what, just, go with Icon? They worked on Monsters at Work. They know the material. It definitely seems like a cost-cutting thing to me, where with Jared Bush, it seems like that he's trying to get back on, that Disney Animation hype train.
I don't understand.
I don't know, like, why. Yeah, you're right. That is a very good point, Starship. Like, why would Disney Animation work on Zootopia, but Pixar wouldn't work on Monsters, Inc.?
It makes no sense. And okay, for both of these attractions, the roller coaster, which how much animation are they even going to produce for the roller coaster? You're going to see what, like a minute and a half of animation probably with that thing going so fast. And the stage show is only a few minutes. I mean, the amount of animation that Pixar would have to do would probably amount to a short.
Yeah.
And they don't have the time to do 8 or 9 minutes of material. I just find that very strange. And I really don't like this move, especially scary because we're coming off of Elio, which was a huge flop. So I hope this isn't indicative of a bigger problem that the executives are starting to really maybe doubt Pixar or something. I don't know. I don't want to read too far into it because I do that with a lot of things. but it worries me though. It really worries me. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and especially too that this land is replacing something that people hold, near and dear to their heart, which was the Muppets Courtyard. It was Muppet Vision 3D. I mean, and Disney kind of pulled the reins back on that a little bit, when they released, the Scooter audio animatronic and the Penguins going into the studio, and Electric Mayhem is going to do album covers and everything. They showed like the concept art of how the exterior of the building and the electric guitar is going to get these like psychedelic colors and what have you. So they were pulling it back for the Muppets, and then they make this announcement, and now that's probably going to get people all hyped up again to say, so we're losing Muppets for a diluted down version of Monsters, Inc. And that does make me now wonder too. And again, I'm not saying Disney or Pixar made this announcement. I'm just saying this is my concern. I hope they don't go that route with the Cars area, because that's going to lead them into some big doo-doo.
Okay, well, here's the thing, George. Now that you opened up that can of worms, let's dive into that, because that area is based on planes, Piston Peak, right?
Yes.
And that was not a Pixar movie. It seems like it is, but it isn't. It was a Disney Toon Animation Studios movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope they don't outsource that animation as well. I mean, that's a great point. And if they're doing it for Monsters, it's possible. And here's the other thing too. And we can think about what we want to think about John Lasseter as a human being. I want to make that very clear. When I say John Lasseter is a creative guy and he's a smart creative, I'm not endorsing everything the man does in his personal life. I want to make that very clear. But he is a very creative dude. Okay. I think we can all agree with that, right? And he loves that Cars franchise more than literally anyone. And we had him for the DCA version to go in there and help with that project. We don't have a John Lasseter this time helping with the Piston Peak project in Magic Kingdom. And I've said it on videos on my channel. That does worry me a little bit. I'm still optimistic about this whole area. I'm not a doom and gloomer by any means. But to pretend like that's not a thing, I mean, that is a thing. I mean, that is kind of scary, especially now that we're seeing that they're outsourcing this stuff for Monsters. Are they going to outsource the Cars Land stuff too? I don't know. I'm nervous. I'm very nervous about it.
Yeah, I am too. So we'll just have to wait and see. I'm curious to see if they made this announcement prior to Destination D23, because hopefully maybe they can show maybe some animation teasers like of what's going in the land, or something. But
well, you know what? What my theory is on that? I think they dropped it right before because they know this weekend the news will get buried. Because what's going to happen tomorrow, we're going to get a bunch of announcements from across the company, and this will get buried in the noise. So they drop it usually when companies or politicians drop news on a Friday, it's usually because they want it to go away. They drop it and they want it to be forgotten. So yeah, not good. Not good. We'll see though.
We will definitely see for sure. We got Mr. Theme Park Conductor in the house.
Dude.
Conductor. I do want to catch. Someone did actually mention this, and I do want to bring this up because I feel like this is very important. Where to go? Oh, here we go. This was from Jacob Weller. Did you guys see the Aristocats live action get canceled? Yes, I actually did see the news that they canceled that, and they also canceled out, I think, 4 or 5 other live action projects. I think it was the Jungle Book 2.
Okay.
And there was a few other things, which actually I'm glad that they did. I'm glad that they're not like going heavy on the live action. Now, Adam mentioned earlier about Moana. Now, the live action Moana, of course, they're still going to go ahead with that because Moana does banger numbers. And what would you say?
You said, of course, they're going to go through with that. And I said, because money.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, like, it's, Moana does gangbusters, and it's like, but for like the Jungle Book 2 and the Aristocats and stuff like that, like, I'm glad Disney's kind of like pulling back on movies that really don't need to be made into a live action, to be honest.
No, they need to get leaner with that stuff, and they need to start filtering out the live actions that they feel are unnecessary, and that's definitely one of those. And also, I talked about it on Capture the Magic on his YouTube channel the other day, where Disney should get back into doing smaller budgeted films like they did in the 90s, like the fun original Disney movies, like The Mighty Ducks, Angels in the Outfield, A Kid in King Arthur's Court. What happened to the fun Disney movies that we used to get in live action? All of it now is just live action remakes. Pretty much all the live action films that we get from Disney are live action remakes at this point. So I want to see some fun stuff again. Make movies that are just fun. Movies that are only like maybe on a $70 million budget or something crazy. And just do some of those. Do different stuff. Disney has relied too much on those live action movies for way too long, dude.
Oh, absolutely, and I do agree with you. Like you had mentioned, like the Mighty Ducks and Snow Dogs was another one. One of my all-time favorites, speaking of, is Cool Runnings.
Oh,
I absolutely love Cool Runnings. Like that movie was like legit because those kind of movies like were kid friendly, but they had that little bit of edge of adultness to it where the adults got the jokes, but it was still clean enough for kids to watch, if that makes sense.
And Three Musketeers, that was a good one.
That was another good one. Giant Peter says, I hope we hear stuff on Pirates 6 and the Groot movie. Well, that's interesting because with Pirates, I do know that there was some talk around to see if Johnny Depp was going to return and everything. I hope that if they do a Pirate 6, that they go back to the original formula that they did with the first 3 Pirates, where Johnny Depp's character wasn't like the centerpiece of the whole entire movie. I felt like you had to have Jack Sparrow in the movies, but sometimes too much is too much,
Yeah. No, I think they can expand that universe a little bit, right? I think Jack is a cool character, but you don't need to have it so Jack focused.
Yeah, that would just be jacked up.
Yeah, exactly.
Vegas Disney RTV, welcome in. Also mentioned Jungle to Jungle and George of the Jungle.
Yeah.
Two other great films. As I said, the Disney in the 90s, as far as like the live action, they were like the goat.
Hocus Pocus, another one.
Yeah, loved Hocus Pocus. Like if you really like, now here's another Disney movie that I don't know if any of you have watched. I grew up watching it as a kid. They would never probably make this movie just because of the quote unquote like fat shaming. Was the movie Heavyweights. I don't know if anyone has seen the movie Heavyweights with Ben Stiller. But oh my God, that movie was freaking hilarious.
Yeah. Great film.
Now, I wanted to ask you, OG, because obviously this year we'll be going at some time at HHN. I do believe that you're going to be going with
next Friday
for the opening. And I'm very curious and then I'm going to be going after my trip back from Cabo at some point. But I'm attempting to do my free ticket, like that's part of the Platinum Pass. But now they recently released like photos of like people lining up for the Five Nights at Freddy's, and it's like right out the gate it was 2 hours. And I'm thinking when we did HHN, you know, we had the early access, we had the express, we had like the highest of the highest. Aside from it being the RIP, we had like the next tier down, and we got through all the mazes, all the houses, all the shows with still some time left over. Now going into just the regular line, and I'm going to be standing in line with all the other peasants, guests, but but 2.5 hours, and then going into like a 3-minute house. I'm very curious of how my perception is on that compared to last year.
Yeah, it's going to change it. It's going to change it. When you have a 2-hour wait, that's going to change your perspective. Like when we didn't have to wait for anything, it's that hit differently, right? So, but the other thing that we also have to keep in mind too is that this is the opening day. So True. It's going to be, I mean, I've seen 2-hour waits for popcorn buckets at Disney on release day, you know? So it's possible that does kind of wane a little bit as time goes on. Hopefully, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. That's a pretty big franchise. It might not, you know?
Yeah. But I feel like Five Nights, well, yeah, even Terrifier. Yeah, I mean, they got some bangers this year. I'm very curious to see, because even at the time that we went, it was in October, and the Monstrous House, I think, had a 3-hour wait. So that was in October.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it was getting close to Halloween, but very curious to see like how this is going to go, because this is going to be even higher top tier IP.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Yeah, I'm gonna go next week with Tommy Toon and Theme Park Conductor. I'm gonna use my freebie because I have the platinum thing. I'm gonna use my freebie. We'll see. I don't think the Express comes with that though.
No, you would have to pay extra for Express, or I think even early entry, because I have early entry. That was the one tier down from Express, because I remember when people were trying to get in with us and they just had the early entry, not the Express. They had to wait because we had the pink bands, they had the yellow. So early entry would give you one step ahead of just the basic line, and then the Express is one step ahead of that.
Now for early entry, because I remember a few times that we went last year, or like for Fan Fest, if we were already in the park, like if you go for the day, you don't need early entry, right? If you're there like for the daytime activities, don't you just go that pass holder center and get a wristband or something?
I don't
remember that.
I think either Conductor Tommy or Wizard would know this, but I think you still need the early entry. Like you could be in the park, but I still think you need that early entry to get access into the queue line for the houses.
Gotcha. Okay.
I think, don't quote me, they would probably know a little bit more since they've done it more. But I'm very curious to see how this. And what's interesting too is with HHN, as far as I know, there's still like availability. You know, you could still go on and buy a ticket for the the whole Halloween season. With Oogie Boogie, it's completely sold out, like before the even Halloween season starts. So it's like you have to know which date you want to go ahead of time. Otherwise, you're SOL. Do you think, because obviously the demand is still there for Oogie Boogie, but the demand is also still there for HHN, but yet there's a lot more openings for HHN. Do you think Disney caps it at a certain number when really they don't have to, or add more dates? Like, what's your take on that?
Yeah, that's a weird. I didn't know that, George, and that's weird because I don't feel like the demand right now, the hype for Oogie Boogie is really that high. To be honest with you, I think a lot of fans are kind of burning out on Oogie Boogie because it feels like the same thing every year. Where HHN, I feel like there's more momentum because you have Five Nights at Freddy. Right. So that's weird to me that HHN isn't selling out and Oogie Boogie is. I mean, it's possible they're capping it. You know,
when Abby and I went for her first time, it was completely sold out, but it was not crowded. Like when we went, when we did like the VIP tour guide with Jackie, no longer working there, but shout out to Jackie, one of the best VIP tour guides. But it was packed. Like there was people there. Because remember when you said, you made that comment and you said, this looks like a typical regular park day. It doesn't seem an after hours event. When Abby and I went this past time, it wasn't a whole lot of people, but yet the event was sold out.
See, so, that's fishy. Yeah, they're probably capping it, almost certainly. It's like what Universal was doing with Epic Universe when that opening month. Remember they were doing that, where they were like it was sold out on the app. You know, you couldn't buy any more tickets, but when people would go, it was empty. Same thing.
Yeah,
same thing.
Now let's see. One Shot Motorsport says, "Why is the animatronic dragon hasn't been confirmed yet for Disneyland?" That's actually a good question. I mean, there were speculation that people were thinking that it was going to be back for the 70th. I don't know if they're anticipating on the 75th, or do you think it's going to be even sooner? Because 75th, we got another 5 years. I mean, do you think it would take that long?
No, I don't think we're going to get it for the 70th, but I don't think we're going to have to wait till the 75th. So if I were to guess, maybe like in like 2 years, we'll probably have the new dragon. It is, I mean, the rumors are heavy that it is being built. So we are getting it. It is coming, but we just don't know when. But I'm going to guess like in between the 70th and the 75th is probably what they're shooting for. I mean, 5 more years seems a little excessive.
Yeah.
But opening like in 6 months also seems too early. You know what I'm saying? So
right. Yeah. So yeah, it could probably give or take, maybe like right in the middle there. Now, yeah. John A says Oogie Boogie is recycled, no cap. Now that's actually true. I mean, a lot of Oogie Boogie stuff is repetitive. It's repeating. You know, they brought only 2 villains. They brought on 2 new villains, sort of, which was Syndrome that replaced Stid. And they brought Maleficent back, which she was already there, but they took her off the roster for a while. So now they just returned, you know, they had her return. So not a whole lot new stuff. I still enjoyed it just for the evening. We got like tons of candy. We did the treat trails and everything. Abby enjoyed it, you know, with it being the first time, especially because she doesn't like to be scared. The fact that I'm like dragging her to all these like HHN and Horror Unleashed. It was nice and refreshing for her to enjoy Oogie Boogie. But as far as new stuff and adding stuff, I think they need to kind of like reassess their way of doing either Oogie Boogie, and even if they're still going to do Oogie Boogie next year, they may move it temporarily to Disneyland with all the construction. We don't know. But one way or the other, they still should do something different, because at least with HHN, you're getting new houses guaranteed every year. And they practically changed them all. Like, they may keep 1 or 2 that's like popular, but 9 out of 10, they'll change it up completely.
Yeah, Universal seems hungrier with this stuff, you know?
Yeah. I feel like Disney just kind of relies on their laurels just to the fact of that people still buy the tickets anyway. So it's like, why do we need to make an effort? Why do we need to spend more money to change something when people are going to spend the money to come anyway? So I feel like as things dwindle down, and we've seen it this past year with the Star Wars After Hours event, they couldn't give tickets away. They were trying to give them away and they couldn't. So I wonder if that's going to put a little bit of a change in the next year or so when it comes to Oogie Boogie and Disney's after hour events in general.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, another thing I wanted to bring up, because kind of going back to the Destination D23. Now, as of right now, they have everything open on like the showroom floor of the archives, which I thought was really cool that they started showing things from like Disney's past. Like they brought out Tom Morrow from the Imagineer that. They brought the original Yeti from the Matterhorn. They brought the Tapestry of Nation and the Tapestry of Dreams that they used for the Millennium down at Epcot. And all that stuff. So that was like they're showcasing a lot from like the archives and stuff. So I thought that was really cool to kind of let people like check all that stuff out before the events. But like I don't know. I'm optimistic. I'm curious, but the fact that Braden says there's going to be a great big beautiful tomorrow, now that just kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I don't know where to go with that. But again, I am optimistic with that.
Yeah, I think that is with Braden saying that does point to something Tomorrowland related.
Yeah, it would happen.
Or Carousel of Progress related, but that's also Tomorrowland basically. So yeah. I'm encouraged by that, but we'll see. You know, I think the park stuff is going to be really minimal though. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't feel like it's going to be a lot of park stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really hard to say. So Johnny A says, will OG55 / Citrico Central be live reacting to Destination D23 panels this weekend? It's funny you say that, Johnny, because I was thinking about it. Because they gave us, because I'm a D23 Gold member, so I will have access to the live stream link. Because they're doing it both days. I think tomorrow it's going to start at 7:30 a.m. and then Sunday 10:45 a.m. and that's Pacific Coast time. Now they only are going to have like certain things. Now again, some may be for parks. They may throw it in there, but I don't know. I was considering on doing a live and possibly going on the live stream that Disney sends me and then going live with the live stream. I would think of doing that.
Now, is it are most of these in the morning? Like it's during the daytime?
From the morning. So it was, I think there's like 5 or 6 panels. Now, I don't know if they're going to be back to back to back, if they're just going to let it run through, but they said it's starting at 7:30. So it may be from like 7:30 to maybe like 11:30. Maybe it's like a 3-hour kind of thing. It depends on how long the presentations are and if they're going to run them straight through.
Yeah.
You have breaks.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. We'll see. We'll see what comes out of this. I'm very, very curious. This could be a wild card, event. You never know. We could all be going into this thinking it's going to be a no big deal thing, and they drop major news. Who knows? Exactly. I don't think that's the case, but you never know.
But to your question, Johnny, I might. It just depends on if I want to get up that early and get everything. And so if I don't, I'll still do all kinds of coverage, depending on like what gets announced and everything. So this weekend, I kind of like blocked out everything just for Destination D, just in case if they happen to make an announcement. I think the one thing that I can almost guarantee with, which, I mean, nothing's guaranteed, but that I would feel like is a guarantee, that with the villains, because on Sunday morning, they're literally going to have a whole entire presentation Disney villains, icons of evil, but that is one that's not going to be live streamed. So that tells me they're going to see some footage or something that's going to be kind of like off limits. You know, like when they would do the D23 for like the studio panel.
Yeah, like the Marvel stuff.
And they'd say, put your cameras away. This is for your eyes only. Right. I feel like that's what it's going to be for villains. I don't know why.
Yeah. No, I think we're going to get Villains Land news in that panel. That's like the most certain I am with the park stuff is that Villains Land something will be announced at that panel. Everything else is iffy to me.
Do you think also with that little announcement that the animation studio working on Monsters Inc., do you think we could possibly get of like what's going in the theater for Monsters Inc.?
Yeah, that's a possibility. Because they've already started construction on that land. Mm-hmm. So that's a possibility. And really anything that they're doing construction on right now, like even the Avengers attractions, that's a possibility too. They're so far in the process now. They might share some things about that, you know? So yeah. Monsters, Avengers, yeah, it's possible.
Yeah, I think anything that's like in the pipeline of construction is going to be mentioned. What's up, Remy D? Happy Friday to you as well. Yeah, my thing is like, but the fact that Braden says it's going to be a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. Now, could that just be a play on words that maybe it's not about Tomorrowland, but it's just going to be a great, big, beautiful tomorrow because the event starts tomorrow and there's news that's going to be dropped? It may not be like for Tomorrowland specifically.
The fact that Braden though is enthusiastic, because Braden, you know, he's pretty critical, you know what I'm saying? He's not a shill by any means, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So the fact that he's saying that's a very positive statement that he's saying, whether he means Tomorrowland, whether he means in general the future of the Disney parks, whatever he means by it, it's a very positive statement. And he's, you know, lately the past few years, and I get it, I understand it, but he's been more critical of Disney. So it's very encouraging to me that he's posting stuff like that. So there might be things in this event that, you know, might really impress us. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Starship 824. I hope they announce the return of the original castle color from Magic Kingdom. And that's interesting you say that, Starship, because there is going to be a segment that will be live streamed about the Disney castles. So they may incorporate that. Now, I don't know if it's just for the history of like the Disney castles and how they come up with like the design and how Walt kind of like took the inspiration for the Disneyland castle, that the front is the back and the back is the front, so to speak. But I'm wondering if there's going to be some sort of news with the castle along with that presentation. Because even, you know, Drew had mentioned it on our show that like he was still kind of interested in that. And we have our neighborhood friendly Spider-Man in the house, Mr. Webba. Yo.
Yeah, Mr. Webba, what's up?
What is going on? And then we have let's see, I Heart Will Buyers. I think I got that correct. Welcome in. I hope they announce something for Descendants Wicked Wonderland. Now, Wicked Wonderland, I think is isn't that something like with some sort of gaming thing? I don't know. Like I thought I heard something of that. Now I know Descendants and like zombies are like big right now, especially like with the like the tweens and the teens and everything. I'm not sure. Like I know that they're doing like a tour thing right now, but I don't know if they'll like go as far as like incorporating them in the parks. If they did do something like that, I would think it would be something along the lines like how they did like the Mad Tea Party kind of thing,
right.
like an after hours event. Which, speaking of which, like my favorite was Electronica.
Me too.
Loved Electronica, and I do hope that Tron Ares does well at the box office. I really do, because I feel like Tron needs a little bit of a boost, because maybe that can solidify some sort of change into Tomorrowland. You know, you never know. Not all, but maybe just like the aesthetics or something, but I don't know. I think Tomorrowland is pretty much I could be wrong, but like I just think it's just going to sit stale for how it is right now until like everything else just kind of like passes through.
Yeah, I think if Fantastic Four performed better in the box office, I think we would have seen Disneyland's Tomorrowland kind of pushed up a little bit. But with that kind of underperforming, yeah, I think it's going to be back burner for a while, especially since with all this Disneyland Forward stuff, they can focus on these big franchises. You know, I just feel like they want to do a Frozen Land at some point at Disneyland. That's a priority. That's $1 billion franchise. Things like that. I just feel like Tomorrowland right now is not the focus. And Tomorrowland really, aside from Launch Bay, a lot of it is still performing really well. I mean, Star Tours still packs them in. Buzz Lightyear still has long lines. You know, Space Mountain is obviously still doing great. It's very popular. So a lot of the stuff that's in the land is still performing. A lot of the issues with the land is aesthetics. So Disney doesn't see much of a hurry, a sense of urgency to go in there and start tearing shit down because it's still popular. You know what I'm saying? So I think we're gonna have to wait. I do.
Yeah, I agree. Remy D says, this is my first time following D23 news. Didn't realize it's so confusing in terms of Destination D23 versus D23. Yeah, here's the thing with that, Remy D. When they first started doing Destination D, it was titled Destination D. Now they changed it to Destination D23. It would only be about one specific theme, so to speak. So the very first Destination D actually was held out here in California. It was called Destination D Disneyland 55. It was all about celebrating Disneyland's 55th anniversary. They did a lot of like archive stuff, a lot of history, a lot of showing like unused footage for stuff. Then the next one, they moved on to Florida. It was for Walt Disney World's 40th. And then they did the 75th anniversary of Disney feature animation, so on and so forth. Then it became this thing where they added multiple kind of topics into Destination D, where it kind of threw all over the place. And it kind of started with the Destination D where, again, Josh D'Amaro got on stage and started kind of like hinting like at projects. And again, with the Blue Sky stuff. But from that time forward, maybe even a little bit the time before, they started trickling some things. But that was the time where now people are anticipating that every time a Destination D23 comes out, there's going to be park news, when really that was not going to be the case. And I was talking to some people, and our good mutual friend had mentioned that they would wish that they would just kind of remove Destination D23 altogether and just keep the D23 Ultimate Fan Event, because it does get confusing that for people that are just joining in on that stuff, oh, Destination D23, that's the big fan event. You know, so it's like, why? And I get it. They're trying to create something so it can last every other year, but can you do something different that won't necessarily have any kind of tie-in from the big D23 event?
Right. No, it does. It gets very confusing. It seems very redundant, you know. And Destination D23 is kind of perceived as a Disney World event, so to speak. Like, it's mostly focused on Disney World news, which that always felt weird to me, that you would have an event focused on one resort. I don't know. I would get rid of Destination D and just fold it into the bigger D23 event, in my opinion. I think it does come off a little bit redundant, in my opinion. But I mean, it's cool that we have it. I guess it's fun to have it like in between the D23 fan events. But I don't know. I think it leads to a lot of brand confusion, and you can just kind of just do your D23 every other year and call it a day. You know?
Yeah, I miss what the Destination Ds used to be. Like, maybe just do it like they could have did like Destination D Disneyland 70th, where it was like they kind of take us back in time and take us through the eras that led us to the 70th. That's what Destination D used to be. And I kind of wish that they would just kind of get away from the current stuff. Oh, let's make studio announcements. Let's make park announcements. Let's, that should be for D23, the Ultimate Fan Event, because that's what that was made for.
Right. No, absolutely. Absolutely. And Peter, I do agree with you. I think they're going to bring up this Abu Dhabi castle because it's very unique. I have a lot of questions about that castle. It's a crystal castle in the middle of the desert. I don't know how that's going to be with the sun reflecting off of that castle. I don't know. There's a lot of like design challenges with that, right? And also the park, they've said, is mostly going to be indoors. So how do you incorporate a castle with a park that's mostly indoors? I think it'd be kind of weird to have a castle in a building, right? So I have a lot of questions in regard to that park. So I'm hoping we get some questions answered, but we'll see. It is kind of early though.
Do you think, because I mentioned it before, do you think that the castle will be the entrance, sort of the portal into the indoor stuff?
I mean, it could be. Yeah, they might. I mean, it seems like they really want to go in a different direction with this new park, and they might try something totally different. I'm very curious because the artwork we saw, people cannot get mentally married to that artwork. That was a vibe kind of piece of work. That was for the vibe of the park, not like that. What you see there is not what we're going to necessarily get. So it could be in the front of the park. Yeah, absolutely.
And I Heart Will Byers says, I do also hope there's something for Frozen 3 wise. Now, because they're having a studio, see, that's the thing that's going to be confusing because they add both features in Destination D23 and the D23 Ultimate Fan Event. Now, as far as like with Frozen 3, they did give us a little, like one piece of like concept art when Jennifer Lee walked out onto the stage and she kind of stepped down as president of Disney Animation so she could just focus on Frozen 3 and Frozen 4. This is going to be a two-parter. They may give us little like pieces here or there. Like, I don't think it'll be anything like a trailer or anything, but it would make sense because actually with the first Frozen, they actually did show us a piece of like the concept arts of like the characters at Destination D. Now that was during Destination D. I think that was the 75th anniversary of Disney feature animation. But then again, that was because it was themed to that Destination D. But they may do that for the studio. They may give us like a storyline base, or maybe if there's new characters, they may bring something up for Frozen. They very well could. They
might. One Shot has an interesting prediction. DCA is going to rebrand as Disney Cinematic Adventure at this D23. It'll be like an announcement. That's interesting. We've been kind of throwing that around a lot, George and I, on both of our channels, that they might do a rebranding because Pandora is the end of this 5-year sort of expansion for DCA, and they can use Pandora as a kind of way to rededicate, rebrand that whole park. People will say, well, OG, what's the point? Why rebrand it? That's expensive. I mean, it is. You have to change all the signage, but if they could rebrand that thing, they can literally put anything in that park and have complete justification for it. You can put Moana in there. You can put Villains Land in there. And I've said before, Villains Land, it doesn't seem like it, but a Villains Land in DCA might work even better because you know what? You can get edgier at DCA than you can in the Magic Kingdom. You can get darker at DCA. I think a big reason why Oogie Boogie is so much fun and so cool is because it is slightly edgier than what you can get away with at Disneyland. So if you
could actually add Oogie Boogie back into DCA because that would be an extra feature. They could hold all of Oogie Boogie in a Villains Land. Can you imagine like the scope? I think honestly, a Villains Land at DCA would probably be in a much bigger scope than Magic Kingdom, and here's why. And a lot of people say, well, yeah, but Walt Disney World has the blessing of size. It does. But there's still a lot of areas that Disney cannot touch for development. They can't because of water levels, because of conservation, because of just different stuff. When you have a whole entire parking lot that's designated for theme park growth, they can really get creative with that. And
Yes.
just imagine an entire like 14 or 15 acre villains land that they can just hold the party in like within itself.
See, I mean, that would be insane. So, yeah, it would be, some money to rebrand it, but I mean, they're gonna make all that back when they have a villains land and a Moana land and all. I mean, the sky's the limit then. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I wouldn't count that out. I wouldn't.
We got Mr. Tech Bear in the house. He says, "I hope they, I hope they talk about the rivers of dirt."
Yeah, I hope so too. I hope so too.
Yeah, give us like some sort of like confirmation, like maybe some like, because even the piece of concept art that they were showing us with cars, it's still not solidified like concept art of like really what it's going to look like. So I hope we get something.
Yeah. And then Tech Bear, and by the way, Kev, it was awesome hanging with you last weekend. We had a great time with Kev. He says more likely Disney Adventure World, California. Yeah, probably. That would suck though. I hate that name.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm like tired of like them putting adventure into everything.
Well, Adventure World sounds like a Griswold family vacation destination. It doesn't sound like a Disney, like world-class resort. It sounds like the Griswolds,
It does.
But that's what they named the one in Paris. I don't know.
Now, Giant Peter Adventure says, I've heard a lot of rumors about Descendants having some sort of influence on Villains Land. Now, here's the thing with that. I never grew up with the Descendants. I know it was a huge powerhouse. I know it's still going strong. I hope if they do something with Descendants, it's not geared towards the Villains Land. If you're going to do something with Descendants, that's fine. I'm cool with that. But again, I don't want this kind of flashy Broadway-style musical influence in the Villains Land. Like, we already got that with the Villains Unfairly Ever After at Hollywood Studios, and I'm telling you right now, it's cute, but it's not permanent. Thank God. This is going to be permanent. Villains Land is going to be a permanent thing. Right. I'm sorry, I don't want to see Captain Hook tap dancing his happy ass across the streets of Villains Land. I'm sorry, to me, that's just not appealing.
Well, and Descendants is like television, for me. And I don't know. I mean, not to say that there's not a place for television IP in the parks, but I don't know. I feel like when you do Villains Land, it really has to be the core Disney villains, and having Descendants in there, because then you're watering it down. Like you talk about it being kind of sugary, right? Too cheesy, right? Descendants would make that land feel like for kids a little bit.
Yeah. Now, if they were to do something with Descendants or zombies, maybe like during like the Halloween season, they can do like something over at Hollywood Studios, because Hollywood Studios is more of a production kind of matter, but Villains Land inside Magic Kingdom, adjacent to Fantasyland. I don't know.
Yeah. Bring up One Shot's Black Panther post. I love the passion in this post right here. One Shot. I love the energy, bro. I love it. Give me a Black Panther themed land going in the symbol lot as part of the Disneyland Forward. Come on, Daddy Josh. Yeah, that would be pretty cool, man. I agree with you on that. That's fun.
Well, and it's funny too, because Black Panther was on the roster when they first mentioned Disneyland Forward. They had mentioned like Tron, they mentioned Toy Story, they mentioned like different things, but Black Panther was actually they didn't say Black, but they called just Wakanda. They said Wakanda was possibly in the pipeline for future development. And a lot of people can, have the argument and say, well, they already have Avengers Campus. But here's the thing, that's the campus. Wakanda is its own world. Right. So you have separate entities of like the IP in different destinations.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I'm excited for DCA's future. I think there's a lot that's going to come to that park. It really needs to look, nothing's going to be the same level as Disneyland. Okay. But they need to get as close as humanly possible to do that. Like this park, I said it so many times, sits only feet away from Disneyland, and for far too long, Disney is sort of like brushed off this park as like, like it doesn't matter. You know, it does matter. It's way too close to Disneyland. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully with Pandora going in there, we got the Coco thing, we got the Avengers thing. Hopefully we get a great expansion like what One Shot's saying with the Black Panther, or maybe even Zootopia. Let's really flesh this park out, you know? So
yeah.
I'm optimistic.
And yeah, Giant Peter Adventure says Disney Adventure World makes sense in Paris. It doesn't make sense in DCA's rename. Yeah. I'm kind of burnt out on Adventure. Like just with them using like Adventure World. And it's just is kind of like I don't know. It's just kind of like something so simple. It's not like creative enough. It's like, okay, well, we can't think of a name. Let's just call it Adventure.
Yeah. You know? Abby's right, by the way. Descendants can be dated. It's really for tweens and stuff. Yeah. It's not a bad franchise. It's done very well for Disney, but I just think for this particular thing, Villains Land, nah, dude. It's like a stage show, fine, you know, somewhere, you know.
Now, let me ask you this, bro. So, Vegas Disney RTV, Black Panther with a Cosmic Rewind version. Now, we all know that Cosmic Rewind is your favorite Disney attraction.
Yeah, I love it. It's my favorite. I love feeling like the blood is draining from my brain, you know? It's amazing. No, but I mean, people love that ride, to be fair. It's not my thing, but people do love it. I mean, that would be kind of an interesting mix, though. I mean, I think it'd be pretty popular, so.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Mr. Webber says we can call it Disneyfornia. No, hold on a second, Webber. You mean to tell me like every single time that I have to say that title, my lips are going to be tripping over each other? Disneyfornia. Well, Disneyfornia. Let's go to Disneyfornia. It sounds like it sounds like an STD.
Do you have an antibiotic for that Disneyfornia, Italiano?
Yeah, that's funny. But actually, Webber had a very interesting. It was like an old one that he was mentioning because I'm going to give him the credit on that one, where it was like DCA. It's like because of how like Tokyo Disney Sea, like so they can kind of like rebrand it like in that way, but you would still call it DCA, but it wouldn't be the letter C. It would be like the C, like SEA.
I like
so
that.
I know a lot of people would like take that like lost in translation, but like if you really dug deep into it, I think you can kind of get away with it. See, that's what I'm saying. Like I love like creativity in that manner where it's like you just call it like Disney's Adventure World. It's like, come on, like you can have some fun with that. Come on. There was another one. Oh, it was there. Theme park conductor. Bricky's latest video was mentioned Zootopia possibly being placed into the Simba parking lot, and we might have a bigger version of it. So it seems like the Simba parking lot has some big expansions. Yeah, conductor, we actually did the Bricky reaction on OG55, which that was a great conversation. That was a great video by Bricky, but that is very true. I mean, there has to be, I mean, if you look at that parking lot, take all the cars out of the equation, level it all out, you can probably easily get, depending on how big you want each section of the land to be, but if you really wanted to get, you can probably get, what would you say, bro, like 4, 5, 6 lands in that?
Well, yeah, it's a because it's like 30 acres that you're working with. So if you have like some smaller lands mixed in with some bigger ones, you can fit a good little area in there, you know?
Yeah. And as far as Zootopia, I think that would be a great.
Oh, perfect.
Like, especially because it fits the DCA vibe. And we had mentioned earlier, like how they did with like Electronica and Mad Tea Party. Can you imagine like an at night, like Zootopia, like party, like where you have like bands playing and the lights are on and the music's blasting, and
yeah,
you can get away with that with DCA.
Yeah,
honestly, with the DCA expansion, I say, give me Wakanda, give me Zootopia, give me Villains. I'd be a happy camper.
Yeah, no, 100%. Zootopia seems like a DCA thing. It's that kind of like, it's fantasy, but it has a little bit of that edge to it. It's perfect for that park. It really is.
Absolutely. Let me see. I'm catching up here. Let's see. Giant Peter Adventures. Wakanda has to be one of those pieces where Imagineering has built the model, but it's figuring out where to put it. Yeah, I think honestly, if they were to put Wakanda, I think that the Simba lot would be best because, see, and this is why I wish that they would have put Pandora over in the Simba lot, because you kind of could have had a connection between Pandora and Wakanda, because they're these out of worldly kind of areas. They both use technology, but they both use organic nature to it. Like, that would have been a great transition and then you could have had Zootopia. There's all the nature right there in its own like kooky little way. I don't know. I still to this day, until I actually see the real solidified rubber stamp sign seal deliver concept art for Pandora, I still cannot picture where the hell this thing is going in Hollywoodland.
Yeah. Well, actually, I had Barry Place on my channel last night, right? And he brought up an interesting point. I wanted to talk to you about it, actually.
Okay.
He thinks all of Hollywoodland is going to be removed, is on the table for removal, and he thinks they're strategically announcing it in phases. So we got the first announcement with Monsters Inc. and that whole area getting removed, right? They've already removed the trolley, too. Okay. They're slowly removing, and he's saying eventually by the time Pandora opens, it will take over all of Hollywoodland. They're not announcing it all at once, though.
So rather than just come out the gate and say all of Hollywoodland is going,
right? So
they're doing it in phase. That's interesting. I didn't.
They're building it, and they're going to announce things along the way, and that way it prevents a giant deluge of mad fans. Because think about it, the Hyperion, the animation building, monsters, if you announce all that at once, people get pissed off. So what do? You trickle the news every 6 months, a new part of the land's going away.
That is true.
I don't know. It's not too far-fetched, but the only thing that kind of works against that is they're refurbing PhilharMagic, right?
I was just going to bring that up. They're refurbing PhilharMagic. So would they, if now they're supposed to start construction on Pandora in 26, correct?
Yeah, I said early 2026.
Early 26. So I don't know. I mean, we're at the back end of 2025. Would they really refurb and put money into something that they're just going to close down?
Yeah, I know. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think they would, but it's crazy.
And the mystery continues. As big as Disney RTV says, imagine the music for it, all West Coast rep. I guess he's
there we go.
There we go. Let's see. And then Abby says, OG needs to go on Cosmic Rewind again without the head injury.
Yeah, probably true, Abby. Like, I was nursing a head injury when I went on it the first time, which probably, definitely added to the uncomfort, the discomfort. So yeah, I'll give it one more shot.
Let's see. Mr. Webber says, I am going to be floating on a damn boat in Pandora while looking at the Pixar toy soldiers going by with Mrs. Incredithick Don Hollywood with Guardians as the backdrop. Wow, like that. Yeah, I remember we had that conversation on the phone, because it really is true. That is really true. Like, because the concept art shows that the boat is going to be outdoors, like it's going to be indoors, but
and go outside,
take us outside. So if it's going to take us outside, are we going to see all those sight lines of Mission Breakout and Hollywood and like?
I hope not. And this is why I get frustrated with Disney, because they wouldn't let that slide if it was at Disneyland, and we all know that. But because it's in DCA, that's a possibility. Who cares? And that's what really ticks me off, because DCA is not the original park, but it still has his name on the sign. All of these parks do. You should have the same care for all these parks as you do for Disneyland. If they were putting Pandora in Disneyland, I can guarantee you there'd be no issue with the sideline. They would make sure it was perfect. Look at the care they put into making sure Galaxy's Edge fit flawlessly in that park. But DCA, I don't know. We'll just put it right off of Hollywood Boulevard, and Mrs. Incredithick will be rolling along on her scooter. Right when we're riding the boat. Yeah, I hope I'm wrong, and I hope they really hit a home run with this thing because DCA needs that love.
And again, like would James Cameron even sign off on something like that? I
That's
think
true.
got it. So like, but that's where it's not making sense. Like he wouldn't sign off to that. You have something so amazing of what they did in Animal Kingdom. It's just not making sense. The placement just doesn't make sense.
No, there's more to it. They're either withholding information, like Bob was saying,
Yeah.
or they got some plan for this. But Bob's theory is pretty solid, though. I can say because the trolley's gone away, that whole other area now, Monsters is going away, and then what they could do now in 6 months, they could say, oh, you know what, animation building's going away, right, and do piecemeal as the construction moves along. So, and then you can do a proper transition because now you're not dealing with a Hollywood Boulevard. You can make that transition from Buena Vista Street in a much more seamless way because you're building it from the ground up with purpose. You're not re-theming or working around something that's existing already.
Now, did Disney actually officially confirm it is going in Hollywoodland, or is this still all in our mind as the fandom?
Like, you mean Pandora?
Pandora. Well, yeah. What did I say?
Oh no, yeah, Pandora. That was confirmed. Yeah, they announced the closure of Monsters Inc. and all that for Pandora. Yeah, that was confirmed.
For Pandora, okay. Because I know that they made the announcement like the closure of Monsters Inc., but I wasn't sure if they actually specifically said it was for Pandora. Okay, yeah. See, I don't know. I don't.
And see, here's the thing: if you look at the artwork, that whole area that they've confirmed, the Monsters area and the busload area, seems like enough room for the attraction. That's for the attraction, but the rest of Hollywood land would be the rest of Pandora.
Okay, so then you would have. So would you then like walk straight into like where Hollywood land is now? That is Pandora.
Yes, the whole thing would be what Bob was saying. The whole thing is eventually going to be Pandora.
Okay, because essentially, then if they knock out all those buildings,
oh, you have plenty of room.
Then there's plenty of room that you could just walk in, and then there's the whole.
And the other thing too is another thing is okay. So they got rid of the red car. They've already announced that Monsters is going away, and they haven't put a new show in the Hyperion in 2 years. It seems like this land is on its way out. It really does. I can't see them keeping all this shit. I really can't because it seems like they're shut. It's like when a mall shuts down. It's like the stores slowly, the leases run out, and it's little by little, right? That's what this feels like to me.
That makes sense. That's actually a good thing. Yeah, like when like a mall is on its way out, and you start to see each of the stores closing, and then each time you go into that mall, there's another thing that's closed, and it's like, okay, this building is pretty much done. That is true because I mean, if you knock out the Hyperion, you knock out like all the buildings that surround Hollywoodland, you clear out the back lot, you clear out the busload unload area. That's a big chunk of space.
That's a huge chunk. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see. I mean, maybe his theory's correct. I don't know.
That is a very good theory. I didn't really think of it as that because a lot of times when you think of something, though, you think of just saying, oh, it's Hollywoodland. So they'll just say, okay, all of Hollywoodland is going at this time. Make way for Pandora, which in a way they may start it in phases, like close this, mention this, announce this, and then
look at
the thing.
And it's the whole thing because look at the amount of backlash they get every time they announce something shutting down. Every time. So do they really want to announce Monsters, Hyperion, Animation Building, all that going away, and the trolley all at once? Probably not. So do it in phases. We'll see.
Yeah, that's fair. Oh, Remy D, I'm glad you brought that up because I actually forgot about that. And thank you for reminding me. So Remy D says, what do you guys think of Remy losing the 3D glasses? Which is the Remy's Ratatouille Adventure in Paris. They are removing the 3D aspect to it. I think they're updating some scenes and what have you. I think that's a really great idea. I hope that they continue that trend and bring that also to Walt Disney World for the version to get rid of the 3D glass. I'm so over 3D glasses. It's not even funny. Like, I got rid of the red car trolley. I would be so glad to get rid of 3D glasses.
Well, it seems like a dated medium at this point. You know, I feel like we have technology now where the screens can look very vibrant, very clear, very crisp, and you don't really need the 3D element anymore, which is surprising to me that they went all in on the 3D for the new Avengers ride. I'm like, you know.
Yeah, like, because it feels like we're moving forward, but we're moving back with that. Now, I was just at Universal Studios yesterday, and I rode Transformers, and I'm starting to realize, like, I could handle the ride, but it is still so choppy that your eyes can't focus because everything moves so quickly that your eyes can't adjust. And then by the time they do adjust, the scene is over and you're on to the next one where your eyes have to readjust again.
There's too much going on with that attraction. It doesn't let you breathe, you know?
But that's what worries me is I hope that's not going to be with Infinity Defense. Because, because if they add the 3D glasses to that, well, they did say that they are, that I hope that it's not like where, you know, you have to like gain focus for each scene.
They have to pace out the story better, which Disney is better with that, I think, than Universal in a lot of ways. So that's, yeah. But yeah, you're right. It could fall into the same trap if it's not done right.
Yeah. So, yeah. So I'm glad that Paris is removing it for Remy's Ratatouille. I hope they remove it down in Florida. I hope in time that Disney removes it on all their attractions, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I'm just not a fan. Like, it was a thing, like, in the like late 90s, early 2000s, like where that technology was like, oh my God, that's so awesome. But not for me. I think it's completely outdated.
Yeah.
And then Remy D says, I think Transformers is just a choppy and chaotic IP.
Yeah.
The movies were the same way.
100%. Yeah. That's a Transformers issue. I don't think we're going to have that problem with Avengers. But I just, man, don't do the 3D glasses though, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Wait, so Giant Peter, you say Remy in Paris already didn't have any 3D. I have filmed the full POV of it on my TikTok. Wait, they didn't have the 3D glasses, but I thought they made the announcement that they're getting rid of the 3D glasses in Paris.
Yeah, I thought so too. That's interesting.
That's curious. Like, was it just like this recently, like that maybe they already removed it? Yeah, because I seen that's interesting. I did not know. Like, they already didn't have the 3D glasses because I thought like the Epcot version was literally a mirror of what was out in Paris, and I know that they still wear the 3D glasses. That's interesting. But
yeah, I could have sworn they broke that news. But yeah, let us know, Peter.
Yeah, let us know. Let's see. Mr. Tech Bear, when I was there in October, they still had the 3D.
Okay, so last year, yeah.
So maybe like they started slowly, like maybe they were kind of beta testing it, like to see like how people, because I think they said in the article it was through guest surveys that people said that they did not care for the 3D, and that's what made them come up with the decision to remove it.
That's why I stopped wearing my glasses to theme parks, because it's a pain. You know, with people with glasses, it's a real pain in the butt because it's hard to put the glasses over your regular glasses, and you don't want to scratch your regular glasses. So I just started wearing contacts at the parks, and then that just bled into me wearing contacts all the time. But you know, it's a hassle for people who wear glasses. You know, even for the company, it's more expensive. You got to produce the glasses. And I don't know. It's something that I think that it needs to go away. They can do a 3D look without even using the 3D. The Mickey and Minnie Runaway Railway kind of has a 3D look without it having glasses.
Yeah, the Mickey and Minnie Runaway Railway, I remember Kevin Rafferty said that he called it the 2.5D. So it was like on the brink of 2D, but then like moving into 3D.
Right.
So yeah, I would be fine with that all the way. See, Giant Peter says, the only thing that deserves 3D is Flight of Passage and Muppet Vision if it comes back. Now, here's the thing with Flight of Passage, though, Peter. I don't know if it's just because, like, the ride has been running since 2017. It really hadn't had a full, like, kind of closure for like refurb. But I've noticed even a little bit of that was a little bit choppy, especially depending on where you're seating, like where you're sitting. And when you go into like the dark kind of cave where the little wisps come up for the bioluminescent forest, you're for some reason, and this never was there even from the beginning, it seems like the 3D glasses can't focus, and it kind of makes it look like double vision. So I don't know. I just wish like I mean I still love Flight of Passage. After Cosmic Rewind, it's my number 2. But I just think just in general, I think if they were to make it crisp and clean without the 3D glasses, but just give the 3D effect of like just watching it, I think that would be great. I think honestly, we really don't even really need that. But we got Theme Parks Assemble in the house. What is up? What is going on? Welcome in. I have to actually get Assemble. I would love to get you on Citrico for a nice conversation. I'm so sorry I missed the one on OG55, but definitely would love to have you on, talk some shop, you know, maybe when some like more news drops and everything. Would love to have you on if you are up to coming on Citrico. Let's see. It might have been sort of an off again, on again thing. Yeah, I think they were kind of like beta testing it to see like how people like reacted to it for sure. The 3D was cool, but it took away from the physical sets. Yeah, that is very true.
True.
And sweet. Yep, definitely. Awesome. So, yeah, I'll definitely be in touch. I am going to be going away for Cabo. And then when I come back, get all my bearings together, I will definitely reach out and we will make it happen, Captain. But I think after almost an hour and a half of this live, I think we're going to put it to a close. OG, thank you so much for joining me today. It was a great conversation. As always, you know, I love, you know, interacting with guests on the channel and also in the chat. But before we get out of here, let everyone know where they can find you on social media, sir.
Yeah, you can find me right here on YouTube, Orange Grove 55, where I have this guy on the show all the time, and Mr. Webba in the chat as well. You know, we talk all theme parks over there. We also do studio stuff and even financials of the company. So check us out at Orange Grove 55 on YouTube, and I'm also on Instagram, Orange Grove 55. And make sure you subscribe to Citrico Central right now if you aren't already.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. And really quick, Johnny Ace, do we need 3D on Toy Story Mania? I don't know as much as we need 3D, but I need like a bionic arm after like I'm done with that ride, because it's crazy. And just because we got Shane Narani in the house. What up, my fellow Disney geeks?
What's up, dude?
Great to see you, Shane. Always glad. And then Mr. Webba, thanks for joining, everyone. Make sure to like and subscribe to Citrico Central and Orange Grove 55, 100, and Bomb. That's what I felt like I did earlier, but okay. And then Remy D, thanks, guys. Can't wait to be fully disappointed.
Yeah.
Again. All right. So yeah, in any case, yeah, thank you all of you for joining today. This was a very great live. I love the interaction, love the questions, the comments, the concerns, the opinions. We love it all. I only ask is just, and as you guys always do, you guys always deliver, just, you know, keep it civil. You know, this is a place of a safe haven for everyone, you know, to give your thoughts and opinions, you know, with no distress. So, but I appreciate each and every one of you. And as I always say in Disney Italiano fashion, stay safe, stay healthy, stay Disney. Italiano out.